Good morning, everybody. We are going to wait just a minute to get everybody logged in and connected to the audio. I do want to welcome you to turn on your cameras if you are comfortable. We would love to see your faces. Um, I do recognize that it is spring break, and so this might be a smaller group today, but again, this meeting will be recorded, so it will be available to you and anybody you would like to share this with after the meeting is over. It'll be posted about 24 hours later to our YouTube channel and our website. So again, I just want to welcome you all for joining us today. I do expect a few more people to start jumping in as we get started. My name is Kirby Davis, and I'm the Membership Services Associate here at the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. This is our Health and Human Services Committee. And today we have Dr. Seth Bernstein, who is a licensed psychologist, certified addictions professional, and an expert in behavioral and mental health prevention and intervention. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Maryland at College Park and obtained his Doctorate of Psychology degree from the Florida Institute of Technology. Dr. Bernstein is currently the Executive Vice President of Community Investments at United Way of Palm Beach County, where he helps determine how to invest donor dollars into vital nonprofit community organizations. Dr. Bernstein regularly presents at state, national, and international conferences on topics related to prevention and early intervention services and support systems for children and families, mental health in schools, as well as philanthropic efforts. Dr. Bernstein has received numerous awards and recognitions for his extensive efforts to improve the lives of people throughout the community. So thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kirby, for having me and asking United Way of Palm Beach County to talk with the Health and Human Services Committee today. Thank you also to Michelle and other chamber members and guests that are here today. Mr. Borman, very nice to see you, sir. It has not been a while, but anyway, I'm very pleased to be able to tell you about United Way. So I will start sharing my screen here, and we'll get going. So this is an introduction to United Way of Palm Beach County. I'll talk a bit about what our goals are and tell you a little bit of a wrap up from our last year. Let me just start out by saying that, I think I was kind of chosen for this work. I remember as a kid, I was born in Maryland, grew up in New Jersey, and my dad is a licensed psychologist still practicing in New York City. My mom is a retired special ed educator who taught in New Jersey for 35 years. And I remember going to the Special Olympics with my mom. I remember in high school, as a senior in high school, collecting donations to feed the hungry in Ethiopia. And that just continued for me into high school. Apartheid was happening there, and we built a shanty town on the mall at the University of Maryland, and stayed out there. And so I was always active in the nonprofit and social justice kind of world. So no wonder I ended up as a staff member here at United Way of Palm Beach County. So just a spec about our mission and vision. We want to ensure that everyone in Palm Beach County has access to the basics. So that means a quality education, a place to live, financial stability, good medical care, and enough to eat. So you'll hear that throughout the presentation this morning. And our vision is to be a community where all individuals and families achieve their full potential. And we have a short video about our why. Kirby, if I can stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you for this 1.5-minute video, that would be a great place to start.
All right. Is this the correct one?
That sure is.
When we lay our heads on our soft pillows at night, we don't think twice. When we go for that second plate at the dinner table, it's a given. At bedtime, when our children read stories slow and steady out loud, it's expected. And when we're sick and we visit our doctor, it's a basic human right. However, these basics, these fundamentals for a happy and healthy life, are out of reach for individuals in your own backyard. Behind the sunshine and palm trees, more than 200,000 residents in Palm Beach County struggle with hunger. 53,000 are children who don't have enough to eat on a daily basis. And 1 out of every 5 residents of Palm Beach County lives in poverty. When disaster strikes, when life doesn't go as planned, when you are fresh out of resources and hope, that's when we step in. As the neighbor to lend a helping hand, as the fighter in your corner, here to connect you with the resources you need. We fight to help youth succeed, stabilize families, and empower healthy lives. We are a connector in Palm Beach County. We connect problems to solutions, mentors to children, donors to organizations, companies to social issues, and hope to the people of Palm Beach County. Because in order to be a stronger community, we need to be connected. We need to be united.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kirby. So, as the short video shows, we are there not to provide direct services to residents here in Palm Beach County, not to deliver services to children or families or adults or veterans or seniors, but to provide resources so that nonprofits can provide those life-saving services to our residents throughout Palm Beach County. So I'll continue with the presentation. Kirby, is this being seen by everybody? Goal 1?
No, it is not.
Isn't. Okay. I will switch that over. How's that?
Much better.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So we basically have 3 overarching goals that we work on throughout the year. And our first one is improve access to the basics for Palm Beach County residents. So I'll kind of tell you a little bit about what that looks like here in Palm Beach County. So we have a community impact department, a small department, but very meaningful. And they're responsible within my division to use donor dollars in the wisest ways possible for the biggest bang for the buck, if you will, the best return on investment, the best community impact that is possible. So we connect donor dollars to our volunteers, and our volunteers will assess applications for funding and will make recommendations to our community impact committee, and then ultimately our all volunteer board of directors makes decisions about how our funding is spent. But basically they're right now they're invested in about 100 programs and initiatives, and these programs and initiatives help youth succeed, they stabilize families, and they empower healthy lives, as the video talked about. And there are other buckets of funding, whether it be for youth or for adults who have special needs, to help with mentor matches, to help with hunger relief or housing homelessness, financial stability, or for helping youth graduate and thrive, for instance. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about each of those areas and give you some examples of some of our work. And all of our work is also very data-driven. In any area that we are going to do investments, we'll do a needs assessment, we'll do some focus groups with community residents, we'll scan other needs assessments that have been completed here in Palm Beach County. We'll talk with our funders, and then we'll make the investments that make the most sense at the time for the community. And in all of our applications for funding, there's always a logic model, there's an evaluation that shows what the benefit is of the program. So we are actively tracking that, and we will be rolling up all that outcome information later this year for last year. So one of our highlighted areas is our hunger relief work. So this has very broad goals. There are work groups that focus on childhood hunger, even the 0 to 4 category. We have a work group around seniors and infrastructure, and we created this food finder map that is on our website. It's also on the county's website. And you can put in your zip code, you can put in an address, and it will tell you the different types of feeding programs that are available. It'll tell you the times that they're open, and is a really easy way to find out where the food banks are located, where the food pantries are, where the soup kitchens are, and even the single events, where they're distributing food in a large capacity. So this body of work is coordinated by the Hunger Relief Advisory Council, a group of volunteers from government, from business, from philanthropy, from the school district, and they ensure that pantries also have the infrastructure they need to handle additional food. So one of our efforts in this space is that we've provided cold storage grants to multiple food pantries so that they can have more food, so that they can distribute more food in the communities. And Mr. Borman was very familiar with this. He used to run the food bank and was a great partner. So Perry, a shout out to you, sir. Another thing that we worked on last year, you all may have heard of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, we were extremely busy during that time and continue to be. We raised over $1.5 million for the community in this response fund. And those dollars came from private businesses, it came from foundations, it came from donor advised funds, and individuals like yourselves and others who are listening here. And what we did with those funds are we distributed them to about 90 organizations that were providing critical services to residents here in Palm Beach County. And we still are working on distributing just a little bit more of this response fund. And I can tell you towards the end of some of our current efforts that we are working on. Kirby, that might be a good question for me too later on. Also during the response effort, we distributed well over 200,000 items for the community of PPE. We did this twice last year in a large way, and just ensured that nonprofits had the protective equipment that they needed to make sure that their feeding sites were open. We provided it to out-of-school programs, to mentor programs, so that they can still continue their on-site programs when it was safe later in the year. So this was a big effort, and we appreciate Clinics Can Help and the county and others that were partners with us in that. And there was also other funders that participated in this, and we're grateful for them as well. Anyone hear of the ALICE report? Raise your hand, give a thumbs up. Okay, we got about, yep, I see one of you. So that's a great start. But this is a report that United Way of New Jersey does for multiple United Ways around the country. And we're very active with this. And it stands for Asset Limited, Income Constraints, but Employed Individuals. So they're working folks who are basically one paycheck away from having a financial catastrophe. And what our most recent data showed is that 46% of the households in Palm Beach County are at this threshold and are really needing our support. And it also shows here that that same percent of Florida households are also struggling to survive. And what we're doing right now, we have a survey out. You may have received it, but it's a survey for residents, anyone living in Palm Beach County, and we're trying to find out how folks have been affected by the pandemic. And we'll be analyzing this for this ALICE population as well to see what other types of supports folks in our community may need. And we're doing this in partnership with other funders. And we have about 2,000 or so folks that have responded, and we're hoping for a lot more. So that's a resource that I can share with you, and perhaps you can get that survey distributed even wider. So our Mentor Center is one of our largest initiatives. We get funding from the Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County for many years, and we have funded right now 23 programs that serve more than 5,000 mentor-mentee matches. And mentoring is a very, it's a nationally recognized effort, so that youth have an additional person in their life other than their parent or parents that they can trust and that they can help grow them socially and emotionally. And we have very good data, great data on how mentoring is effective for youth. This was a big recommendation from our Birth to 22 Youth Master Plan that was developed about 5 years ago. And our Mentor Center has been able to expand due to hearing from the community and hearing from youth and hearing from parents saying that they want additional mentors for their youth. that, they're struggling in school, or they're struggling socially, or, they just need someone to talk with, because, youth, I don't know about you, but, when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I was connected to my friends, and, there were things that I wasn't going to tell my parent, right? So having a trusted individual to help you kind of get by is really, really critical. So this program has a wider network that has, as it says here, over 55 programs that are in the network, and they can get professional development and training and technical assistance around the national 6 elements of effective practice that we follow. So I'll leave that alone for now and move on. But mentoring is an incredible way of giving back to the community. So I don't know if you've had some of you may have had a chance to mentor, but it's a great experience. Next, we have a collective impact initiative called Achieve Palm Beach County. And this is an initiative that we're actually transitioning out of being the backbone organization to, and we're actually working with Palm Beach State College for them to host this initiative, but we're still very active with it. And we do have a component of our community care fund dollars that help youth access post-secondary education. So we've been working with this effort for about 4 years now, and some of our information that we've collected and been able to accomplish is we've funded a student urgent relief fund at Palm Beach State College as a pilot. And you see there they've distributed almost $34,000 for students. And this is a grant to a youth, to a student who may have had their car broken down, or their medical bills are high, and they're that one $400 gift can help them remain in school. We don't want them to have to drop out because of an unexpected expense. So that's something that through the Achieve Palm Beach County we've been able to do. We've also started a male Panthers mentoring program at Palm Beach State College, and worked with a foundation to fund that work as well. And then our partners, and there's over 100 partners in Achieve Palm Beach County, hold a lot of educational sessions for college-bound students, or students that are interested in figuring out what they want to do for college. And when we talk about access to a post-secondary education or college, we're also talking about certifications that help folks also get a living wage. So there's a welding program at Palm Beach State College. You can become a underwater welder and make 6 figures after a year or so in a certification program. So you don't necessarily have to go on for additional 2 or 4 year degrees. So we want students to be exposed to all the options, and then let them know that there is an option for everybody. And Achieve Palm Beach County helps us accomplish that. So that's our goal 1, improve access to the basics for Palm Beach County residents. Our second one is about generating more resources, and it's not just about money. We certainly appreciate getting donations from individuals and corporations and our high-end donors, but any type of assistance we appreciate. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Publix is our #1 campaign, so I will give a shout out to Publix. They're always in our top 10 campaigns that they do for us, actually regionally, but here as well. So last year, our beginning goal was just over $17 million that we wanted to bring into Palm Beach County, and our final total was practically 100%. So this was during the first part of the pandemic, and things were really very interesting from a fundraising perspective during those times. We weren't doing any in-person, resource development events. We weren't doing face-to-face, pitches of why to give to United Way, how donor dollars are invested so wisely. So we, reimagined our work also, and, created doing it virtually, and organizations did that as well for their employees. So one of the biggest ways that we raise dollars are through employee campaigns. So for instance, at Florida Power and Light, they'll do an employee giving campaign and invite all of their employees to give dollars, or some companies will allow folks to donate the equivalent of 8 hours of their vacation time and things like that. And they can be really creative, and they excite their employees by doing special events to give more. So this year, due to COVID, we've reduced our goal a little bit, and we're actually well on track to meet and exceed it. At the end of last year, we were given $4 million from the county to distribute to nonprofit organizations who were impacted by the pandemic. So that was part of our grant revenue. We have about 30% of our revenue that comes in through grants, which is through the division that I oversee also. So as I said, this is just one way that we generate more resources. We could not do our work without volunteers. Last year we had over 8,000 volunteers, and this is money. When people donate their time, whether it's on the clock at their work or off time, off hours, it equates to dollars that that efforts would not happen without their time. So these are just 4 examples. Painting Palm Beach Rehabilitation Center in Lake Worth, or getting folks from Modernizing Medicine together to put food boxes together for delivery to homeless folks or others that are in need of food, or working with Orange Theory to go gleaning. So gleaning is, folks will go out into the fields, and farmers will leave a portion of their farm untouched, and they'll go, pick tomatoes or pick corn or things like that. So if you've never done that, gleaning is really something unique to experience. Kind of hard on the back and knees sometimes, but very, very rewarding. I've done it numerous times. And Cross Ministries is the organization locally that supports the gleaning efforts. We also have an effort every year called Taxes Filed Free. We also call it our VITA program, Volunteers in Tax Assistance, where we have folks that are trained by the IRS and other folks locally to complete folks' taxes. And last year, we processed almost $12 million in tax refunds for those making $66,000 or less. And over the last 18 years, we have brought in $242 million into our local residents' pockets for them to be able to use locally and save and spend as they deem necessary. And we also have our tax preparers focus on child tax credits and earned income tax credits so that they're done well and folks can maximize the tax returns. And if they're eligible for something, we want them to happen. And we're still doing them this year. And most of it is done drop off, and you can wait a half hour to get them done, or you can drop them off. We'll scan them, give them back to you, and we'll work with the customer virtually. So this is still active now. We'll be at it for about another month or so. And if you have know folks that households are earning $66,000 or less, they can get their taxes done completely for free. And just to note, I would like to give a shout out to the IRS. The IRS actually gives us money for this program. So they're giving back to our community as well a bit. We also have a partnership through our United Way Worldwide, nationally and internationally, with the NFL. So we had Tavon Covey, who volunteered with us for several months, and he was great. He helped with our mentoring initiative, and he's created his own nonprofit too in town, and is very active with our youth and comes out and speaks to our programs as well. Another thing that we look at with our increasing our resources is how many positive news stories we get. So we had a goal of 150, and we quadrupled that last year and overwhelmingly met that goal. And we have a very small marketing and communications budget. So working with different TV and radio stations and others, we had over $3 million in ad value that we were able to get in kind for United Way Palm Beach County and all of our efforts. We also did last year some hunger telethons. Dr. Lori George was on the news regularly, giving COVID-19 updates. I was on the news a few times, and we work with different stations around Thanksgiving also to do food drives, and just have really great relationships with media, and continue to have those for sure. Kirby, we have a second video here down at the bottom left. It's about a 4-minute video, and I'd love to give you an overview since so much of our work was reacting to the pandemic. Dr. George has a 4-minute video that I'd love to show you to give you a great overview of all of our efforts and community efforts during the pandemic, and which are still going on. I'll stop sharing my screen and give it back to you, Kirby. Hopefully that worked just now. I think you're on mute, Kirby, but looks like it's working.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lori George, President and CEO of United Way of Palm Beach County. 90 years ago, United Way was created as a community response to a devastating hurricane in our community. And since then, we've been the trusted leader to help our neighbors meet daily basic needs, recover from hurricanes, and now persevere through the economic impact of a global pandemic. Through each challenge, we've seen that the heart of our community is full of compassion and generosity. United Way connects you to opportunities to see, feel, and be the heartbeat that helps our community thrive. Because as we all know, in the beat of a heart, everything can change.
As America becomes the world's greatest victim of COVID-19,
COVID-19 will likely cause even more death and destruction.
U.S. officials declaring a public health emergency.
March 2020 changed our lives. Our community's needs surged due to the economic impact of COVID-19. Unemployment soared as businesses shut down. Many turned to food pantries for the first time. At-risk seniors were desperate for food. Stable housing was threatened. Schools forced to transition to virtual learning. Many nonprofit agencies were forced to shut their doors and quickly adjusted their programs to provide critical resources. COVID-19 amplified United Way's mission to ensure everyone in the community has access to the basics: a quality education, a place to live, financial stability, good medical care, and enough to eat. As a trustworthy community champion, we went to work doing what we do best. Our team is built for this type of a county-wide response. We immediately tackled COVID-19 head-on, convening funders, businesses, and nonprofits, uniting resources and developing innovative solutions and meeting increased critical needs, bringing help and hope to our community. We quickly launched our COVID-19 Response Fund and opened an application for nonprofits to apply for aid. It was clear the pandemic was taking a toll on all of our nonprofit partners. United Way partnered with local media to host a virtual telethon, raising $150,000 in one day for COVID-19 relief, and became a trusted leader for the pulse on the nonprofit community during this time. United Way of Palm Beach County rallied 9 local funders into action. We raised $1.5 million for our COVID-19 Response Fund and distributed that critical funding to 85 agencies in Palm Beach County, providing food, shelter, and healthcare to residents. Our hunger relief team launched the Food Finder map to quickly connect individuals seeking food resources to hot meals, food items, and affordable produce near them. We funded programs that help pay people's rent and mortgages so they could maintain stable housing. We provided funding to address the digital divide. We facilitated virtual mentorship platforms so youth could still meet with their mentors. Masks and other PPE supplies were distributed to local agencies so they could reopen their doors and serve more clients than ever before. We engaged volunteers to help distribute food and meet emerging needs of local nonprofits. As we look to the future, United Way will continue to find efficient solutions and unique collaborations to ensure everyone in Palm Beach County has access to the basics. Our purpose has been the same for the past 90 years. We're community conveners, innovators, game changers and change makers. United, we are the heart of Palm Beach County. Together, we can see a stronger community, feel connected to solutions, and be champions for our community. Because of you, our neighbors have enough to eat, roofs over their heads, and access to education and health care. Thank you for being the heart of Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Kirby. Am I back sharing my screen?
Yes, you are.
Fantastic. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of a glimpse, additional glimpse into our work. We want donors, we want volunteers to to really see, feel, having a relationship with us and with our work. So we really encourage folks to volunteer with us and with our partner organizations. So that'll be getting easier, in time, of course. But going back for the overview, United Way, and I'll speed this up a little bit here. We have several affinity groups that I'll talk about, and Lindsay White is on the call here. She's our expert with that at United Way. But we have a few that I'll quickly mention. So we have a Tocqueville Society, and these are for donors that give annually at least $10,000. So this is one of our areas that we like to grow membership in. And last year we were able to grow our society members by 16. So this year we have an additional goal to even grow that more. And they also gave additional dollars towards our COVID-19 response fund. So we were greatly appreciative of that last year. So this is Lindsay's work also. We have an Emerging Leaders Society. Maybe some of you are members of it. This is for early and mid-career professionals to come together and have some fun, but also to learn and have projects to do together, and also to give back to the community. And Emerging Leaders also make a commitment to provide at least $250 to United Way for our efforts. Excuse me. Another affinity group that Lindsay works with is Women United. And, in both of these charts, you see tremendously over the last 6-7 years about how the growth has happened. These are a really incredible group of women who are also dedicated to giving back to the community. They make a financial contribution of at least $1,000 to United Way. And I think at least half of that to our general community care fund. So, the dollars can be used for whichever areas that our volunteers and our needs assessments think are best. And this is just an incredible group. And, they continue to do great work in the community and learn and give back. And then our goal 3 is to enhance organizational excellence. So we look internally to see, how we're doing in the nonprofit sector. So, every few years we get certified by United Way Worldwide, that we're following all their guidelines. We have a platinum GuideStar rating. We also get certified by Nonprofits First. We require the majority of our organizations that we fund to also meet upwards of 200 standards that are created for nonprofits to make sure that their governance and financials and policies and practices are all in line with industry standards. So we do that for ourselves as well. Next is we are well aligned with our modern United Way Worldwide. 2 years ago now, several of us traveled to Toronto to our United Way Worldwide conference, pre-pandemic, of course, and did several presentations about the work that we're doing here. I participated in an equity summit as well through United Way Worldwide. And this is our former board chair on the right, Kim Jones, or George on the left. And they talked with board members about governance and best practices and how board members should be engaging with the nonprofit organization that they're volunteering for. So that is an important part of our work. And I mentioned this equity work and our participation in that with United Way Worldwide. And even prior to that, we were focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion here locally. We sponsor trainings from the Racial Equity Institute and the groundwater analysis, where they're looking at equitable solutions to 400 plus years of folks who are being oppressed, in particular our folks from the Black community and Latinx community. What happened last year is United Way Worldwide set 3 standards that all their United Ways must comply with, if you will. And that is to develop, maintain, and publicly post an organization position opposing all forms of racism. And then secondly, to provide training for all board members and staff. And then third, to use equity as one of the criteria in making community investments. And this for United Way Worldwide came out with all the social and racial injustices that have been continuing for years, but that were highlighted by the murder of George Floyd about a year ago. So we are well along the path of implementing these standards, but also like I said, for years we've been working with our community, learning what their needs are, and increasing our investments in communities of color, basically, and in organizations that are from communities and serving the communities and led by people of color as well. So this is something really critical to us, and we will continue learning about equity and creating equitable solutions in a philanthropic way, and working with our partners as well on this, our business partners, our philanthropic partners, and the communities that we serve. So that is the formal presentation, Kirby. I appreciate having the opportunity to do this, and would welcome some conversation. So I think you're going to lead us in that and tell folks how they can participate with this.
Yes. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. And thank you so much, Dr. Bernstein, for being here and taking time out of your day to spend it here with us. So yeah, I have a question that I want to ask. So since COVID, how have the campaigns changed, like within the companies and everything?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Kirby. So, for a month or so after the pandemic broke out, everyone was focused on just kind of taking care of themselves and whatnot. But then as campaigns started to occur, we needed to pivot, as any organization, and do them virtually. So, we would set up meetings with organizations' leadership, figure out how they would want to do things, and work with their employees about sharing information about United Way and encouraging them to give financially and volunteering. So we have a great resource development group and a great marketing department as well, and created lots of different products and ideas for companies, and companies really got creative also. We had one agency CEO that decided to do an internal campaign in his organization, and he said for, I think it was $500, he would shave his head. So he went on Facebook Live and shaved his head, because his organization donated that. The county did all kinds of socially distanced fundraising events within their different departments around the county, and organizations also created virtual tours of their agency, so they would be able to share that with others and donors. So it's been quite a learning experience for all of us, but we are working it out, I would say, very well, and companies are also reimagining the work.
Great, that's fantastic. Are there any other questions before I move on? Does anybody have any questions? James.
If funding hasn't been increased or decreased during COVID?
This year it's been increased, James. So, I mentioned that we, had that COVID-19 fund that the community generously gave $1.5 million to. And then also at the end of last year, we worked with the county. So we received a $4 million grant, and we're able to distribute 100% of that. That was part of the county's federal CARES Act dollars that they got. I think they got, $261 million. So 4 million of that came to us. And within 8 weeks, we distributed it out to the nonprofit community to 216 organizations. Many of them were small and medium-sized organizations that were working within some of the most disenfranchised communities throughout Palm Beach County, and they were be able to increase their services so folks would get better access to services. What we're also seeing though now this year is that some major corporations are changing the way that they're giving. Where last year they may have given a lot towards the pandemic locally, regionally, nationally, and their dollars, their community dollars or their sponsorship dollars have decreased. So we are seeing some of that. So we are kind of holding on a little bit with bare knuckles to see how this year wraps up and what next year looks like. But this year we we're able to fund our agencies at 100%. Next year, that's what we anticipate also. But we do think next year, there could be some challenges with that. So we're really reaching out into the donor base to really try to make up for some of the shortfalls in some of the categories of our fundraising.
Thank you.
You bet.
I do see that there is a question in the chat. How has the 10 million gift from ex-wife of Amazon founder impacted the goals?
Yeah, great question. So we were one of 46 United Ways around the country to be blessed with a transformational gift from Mackenzie Scott. She looked at over 8,000 nonprofits. She and her people looked at 8,500 nonprofits in the country to start. And whittled that down to about 3,500, and then ultimately provided $4 billion to 324 or so of us. I may be off on that. There are over 1,400 United Ways in the country. So we are one of 46 that got this amazing gift. And, so what we're doing with those funds we are creating a strategic plan just for the use of those dollars. So we don't want to just use the dollars in a year or 2 years. We want to, expand those dollars. So we want to, potentially get match funding for whatever efforts that we're going to be funding with that gift. We also want to be mindful about investing the dollars so that we're, earning more money that we can put back into the community. We're working on a plan for allocating the dollars, of course. So that's a big bulk of what we're doing right now. We're creating a plan that we're going to provide to our board in mid-June. So they will take a look at the analysis, which will show basically what the needs are right now and what some solutions can be over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And what we want to do is use those dollars and sustain whatever is created and whatever is lifted up and boosted. So, we're looking at all of our areas, around education and housing and hunger relief and healthcare and financial stability to see what the greatest needs are. So we're doing key stakeholder interviews. I'm talking to different businesses and corporations and residents. We'll do a few focus groups to learn directly from residents and then have a comprehensive plan. And we anticipate spending it at least over a 3-year period of time. But if we're able to secure additional dollars, we want it to go beyond that 3-year period of time. So it's a big focus of our work, and we have a committee of our board that is working with us as volunteers to help guide us, and we have a consultant that's working with us as well.
Awesome, great questions. I know you had mentioned it a little bit in the presentation, but how can somebody get involved with United Way?
Oh my gosh, please do. So there's lots of ways. You heard about the affinity groups, the Women United, the Emerging Leaders Society. Become a mentor. Give 4 hours a month to a youth that is struggling to get by, and help them be successful socially, emotionally, or academically. You can You can join a group called the Birth to 22 Alliance, Birth to 22 United for Change. We have different work groups, and we're focused on the well-being of youth. I mentioned earlier there's a youth master plan that the community is using to invest in and also support our youth and families. There's different work groups. I co-chair the Becoming a Trauma-Informed work group. So it's a lot of providers that are providing behavioral health and well-being services to the community. We're doing training for system partners around adverse childhood experiences, and the research that has come about through that over the last 20 years about how best to approach folks that have had traumas in their life. You can, come to events like this. We're doing another event tomorrow lunchtime. You can bring your lunch. We have a Heart of the Matter. I think that's right. Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong. Every other month, we're doing hour-long presentations, and tomorrow's around mentoring. And of course, they're all free. In May, we're doing one on mental health. So you heard earlier, I'm a licensed psychologist, and that's what I did for a lot of my 28 years here in Palm Beach County, is implement and develop programs for children and families. So United Way does invest some in the mental health world, and I do a lot of community work on a lot of community alliances around behavioral and mental health. And we're talking about employee wellness as part of that. So part of the conversation will be about that. How are organizations thinking about the well-being of their employees during the pandemic, and what is and not interacting. We're interacting differently with one another. What does that mean? Some people love it, right? Other people just can't wait to get to the office to actually see someone, in person, and maybe even walk by them and and interact and smile, without just without a lot of restrictions. So just lots of different ways. You can also become a donor to United Way and give financially at any level. We say any dollar provided to United Way is added to the mix, and that's greatly appreciated.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? I do want to do some self-introductions and go over some upcoming events, but I do want to make sure we get all the questions answered. Do we have any others? All right. Well, before
I have a question. Kirby, I see one in the chat. Where is the local United Way? So so we're located in Rosemary Square in downtown West Palm Beach, right across from Publix. We've been there, I think, around 5 years now. We used to be in Boynton Beach for a number of years, and that's our headquarters in West Palm Beach now. We are one of 2 United Ways in Palm Beach County. There is another separate 501c3 on the town of Palm Beach. There used to be 5 or 6 United Ways up until about 25 or so years ago. And now we're most of them combined into ours that serves the entire Palm Beach County.
All right, Michelle, that you said you had a question as well.
I wanted to make sure Perry had a chance to ask a question, or make a comment.
No, actually, the question about the $10 million
Okay.
was my question as well.
Okay,
So
great.
Seth did a fantastic job answering that.
Okay, good. Thank you, Perry. Thanks, Seth. So Seth, your work is to be commended, and I do want to take a moment just to say that and acknowledge it, which is a huge understatement. And I think these programs are so important, so we all realize the breadth and depth of your reach locally. What would you say right now in this moment?
Uh-oh, Michelle, I think we lost you. We lost your connection. Can y'all hear her?
The last I heard was, what would I say in this moment? And I think she was going to add some more context to it.
I don't know what happened because you didn't go muted. Looks like she's going to put it in the chat or call in real quick. Okay, so while we're waiting for her, I want to just go around. I want to let everybody get the chance to introduce themselves because I want to meet each and every one of you. So James, I'm going to start with you.
James Collins, Collins Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, Medicare, Medicare Advantage.
All right, thanks, James. Perry.
Yeah, Perry Borman. I work for a company called WebAuthor. We help companies automate business process through cloud-based portals. And I used to be with the Palm Beach County Food Bank and some other nonprofits in the community.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Dr. Jack.
Yeah, hi. This is my first conference with you guys, so thanks for having me. I'm with Health Max Center. We are a chiropractic and wellness center, and it was a great thing this morning. Seth, you're doing some good stuff out there. Keep it up.
Well, thank you so much for joining. We are so happy to have you. G. Joseph Garcia.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph, and I'm representing Palm Beach County Human Rights Council and a Seminole, yes, Florida State grad. So I'm all about, diversity, equality, and inclusion. So I'm very excited to hear of all the initiatives that United Way is doing. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Doris.
Good morning. I'm Doris Mendez de Mayo from the Palm Beach County Library System's Acreage Branch Library, and I'm now part of the United Way committee that we have for the library. You know, we raise money every year, and so I thought I would get more educated on everything that you all do.
Well, great. It's so nice to have you. Sam. Sam, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I got it. Good morning, everyone. Sam Silva. I'm the owner, agency principal of Easy Access Medicare. I do primarily Medicare and final expense policies. So that's pretty much it. And good to see you, Jack.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sam. Michelle, are you able to?
I apologize. Sometimes I think that's a higher power telling me I don't need to speak right now. So maybe I'll start there and pay attention to that. No, I kicked my plug that connected my thing. I'm my father's daughter who was a public school teacher for 40 years and could not sit still. And so the biggest challenge with COVID for me is asking me now to sit at a computer most of the day and sit still, which is a big challenge for me because I'm very high energy. So with that said, speaking of high energy, I think these programs are so important, Seth, because you think you know what the United Way does, and you certainly much deservedly get positive press. I think locally, regionally, state level, and even nationally, especially when there's a crisis of different types that we've faced over the last years, right? But I really honestly didn't have an appreciation for the breadth and depth of the programs that are really on the ground here locally to impact individual lives. So first, I just want to thank you for that. So my biggest question is, right now in this space and time, now that we're, over a year now into this, what is the greatest, most practical need that you still see needs resources of, human talent and money?
Wow. Yeah, that's a great question, Michelle. And, I think that, we're not quite sure, what this next stimulus package is going to look like and help, bring to the community. We think there'll be, additional funds for hunger relief. But I would say that, about sustaining hunger relief efforts in our community is a huge issue that will transcend whatever federal stimulus dollars come down. We have the largest agricultural network in our Western community, east of the Mississippi. And we have strong partnerships with local farmers, and, our Palm Beach County Food Bank is actually having a ribbon cutting ceremony at 10 o'clock this morning. They're moving into larger space. They're going to be able to distribute more food. They're going to need more food. They're going to need more infrastructure to deliver the food and other life-sustaining product to residents. So I would say that is definitely one. I think another one, and it's a personal interest of mine, and a lot of our co-workers within the philanthropic community are talking about employee wellness and mental health overall. you know, the mental health of us adults, I think, is one thing, you know, where, you know, those of us that don't like to be cooped up have been cooped up, you know, getting outside is just a blessing for me. You know, if I can take 5 minutes during the day and get off the video screen and just look up at the sun and get some, you know, sunshine on my face and in my body, just is something that I wouldn't have appreciated before. But I think that overall self-care for ourselves and mindfulness around how other people are feeling and how they're doing. You know, lots of folks have lost their job. You know, there's a lot of folks that are grieving from deaths of family members and loved ones, whether it's due to the pandemic or other circumstances. And, you know, funerals and other rituals are not how they have been. So I think, you know, broadly defined, you know, reconnecting with one another and with friends and family and staying connected, I think is really, really important. And, you know, it's something that, you know, not only personally that I'm paying attention to, but professionally and through United Way too. You know, we're thinking about our, you know, staff at our nonprofit organizations, and, you know, they, you know, are very much, you know, they haven't closed their doors. You know, they're still serving residents. They're, you know, having, you know, folks come into their facilities, and, you know, our out of school programs, you know, are operating again. And the employees, you know, it's a, you know, sometimes a thankless job working in the nonprofit sector. And, you know, I think they need some recognition about their how the community is appreciative of what they've been doing and for their well-being. So those would be a few of my reflections. There's, you know, several more, of course, but those are the two that come to mind. And I think, you know, there are ways to, you know, to give back, you know, also that, you know, I haven't mentioned, like, you know, you can join a nonprofit board, you know, and give back your time and talent, you know, and that doesn't cost anything but time and some mental energy. You know, the nonprofits love that when businesses, you know, are interested in their work, but also, you know, want to give back their expertise on a board. So that's something I would also, you know, suggest to folks to potentially consider, and some of you may already be, which is amazing.
Well,
go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. And I do
one more question. Yeah. Okay, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know we have 2 minutes. I want to respect people's time, but I do want to mention this because I want to give you credit for making that a focus. I think it sounded like internally for your organization of value that you're trying to support and live. And so at the chamber, our Women in Business Committee, that is the theme for the first quarter of this year, was diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's definitely something I think is timely. And can you just speak more about what that looks like, or what advice you may have for organizations to start including that internally in their organization as a value?
Sure. Yeah, this is a huge topic, and, you know, so what I'll tell you what I've done, and I'll, you know, make some quick recommendations. But there's this 2-day Racial Equity Institute training that's provided by this national REI, Racial Equity Institute, out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And it's very experiential. It's very, you know, it tells the narrative about the 400 years of slavery and about injustice to African-American people. And it sets the context for, you know, to hear about and learn more about, you know, other groups that have been oppressed. So it's not just about, you know, black folks. And I think educating ourselves about that history and the narrative, the true narrative, versus some of the narrative that is told now about the most marginalized communities and disenfranchised communities is very important. Doing some reading. You know, there's also articles and books for white folks. There's one called White Fragility, where, you know, we as white folks and all people, we have these unconscious biases or these implicit biases that we, are just raised with, just because it's a matter of, our times or our family or community. And we may not, and we don't, understand folks from different cultures, ethnicities, backgrounds, circumstances. So taking time to learn about that, I think is the most important one. And also being comfortable with having uncomfortable situations. I'm in meetings with with mixed groups of people, and I'm nervous about saying the wrong thing. But if you create safe spaces, you can say the wrong thing and have dialogue about it and learn, and that's okay. And honestly, in my opinion, white folks need to be a bit uncomfortable with these conversations because we need, we have a lot of changes that we need to make. And they talk about white folks having advantages over other communities in color and other groups of people, and just being able to to talk about that, I think is really valuable. So creating spaces to learn together, and be careful about being too quick to take action. Us overachievers, we want to fix something, but we want to do it smart. We want to do it right. We want to do it in a way that the people most impacted by the area of racism or other forms of oppression want it to happen. So you need to do it in partnership together across race and ethnicity and other lines. That's a real quick answer to that. There's another training called groundwater analysis that looks at data that's in all of our systems and how Black folks are doing the worst in our criminal justice system, education system, juvenile justice system, dependency system, healthcare system, and that's really an eye-opening experience. So if you ever see anything called groundwater analysis, it's about a 3-hour training. I would suggest hopping on that.
All right, well, that's fantastic. And I think you did a great job just kind of explaining that a little more to us, because, not all of us, realize, what all we're going through. Joseph, do you have your hand raised, or is that a clap? I can't, I'm sorry. Is it a clap? Okay. Yes. And I agree. Thank you so much. And I did see Joseph put a link in the chat for everybody. With the diversity, equity, and inclusion, looks like a certificate of some sort. So probably a training. Is that right? Yes. All right. Well, I do see that it's 10:03. I do not want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much, Seth, for joining. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Again, this is being recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to share this with whoever you would like. All right. With that being said, bye. Have a wonderful rest of your day and see you guys later.
Thanks again. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Seth. Great job. Thank you.